The grand hall of the Celestial Concord was a symphony of alien sights and sounds. Beings from 100 species mingled beneath floating orbs of gentle light, their forms a testament to the galaxy's diversity. At the center of it all stood the Princess of the Valyrians, a species known for their graceful, silver-toned limbs and vibrant, expressive crests of feathery tendrils. She moved with practiced poise, exchanging diplomatic pleasantries. The very image of serene royalty. Her people possessed a sense of smell, far more sophisticated and symbolic than any humans. Scents were not mere odors. They were narratives, emotional signatures, complex biographies written in the air. She could detect the subtle, peppery anxiety of the Grath ambassador, the cloying, floral sweetness of a diplomat hiding deceit, and the steady, mineral scent of her own guard's resolve. Then, a new scent thread reached her dot. It cut through the atmospheric perfumes and biological signatures like a clear, cold wind through a stagnant room. It was a smell of ozone after a lightning strike, of rich soil turned after a rain, of warm stone and a faint, clean, metallic hint like distant starship alloy. And beneath it, woven into its very core, was a warmth, a deep, resonant, and profoundly familiar hum of safety. The princess froze. Her diplomatic smile vanished, her silver hands going still around the crystal flute she held. Her feathery crest, which had been swaying gently, stiffened and then rippled with a wave of unmistakable shock. The ambassador before her, a chittering insectoid, faltered, concerned his words had caused offense, but she heard nothing. The scent had unlocked a vault in her memory, sealed for 10 standard cycles. She was no longer a princess in a hall. She was a child, a mere scion, on a state visit that had gone horribly wrong. Their shuttle had been caught in a gravitic anomaly, crashing on a remote, jagged moon on the fringe of surveyed space. The survivors were few: herself, 2 guards, and her tutor. The world was cold, the air thin, and predators drawn by the crash site's energy soon found them. They had fought, but their elegant energy lances were failing. A creature, all sinew and razor-sharp claws, had cornered her against the burning hull. She could still feel the searing heat on her back, smell the acrid stench of melting composites, and the foul, hungry breath of the beast. Then, a sound. Not a whine of energy weapons, but a sharp, percussive crack. Then another. The creature jerked, snarled in confusion, and turned. A figure emerged from the drifting smoke. It was bipedal, stocky, clad in a rugged, gray environmental suit with a cracked visor. It moved with a shocking, brutal efficiency. It did not fire beams of light, but solid projectiles that tore into the predator with devastating force. When the creature lay still, the figure approached. The suit's vocal emitter produced rough, grating sounds that her translator, damaged, could only partially parse. Safe. Found. Help. One of her guards, wounded and fearful, raised a remaining lance. The figure stopped, and with a deliberate slowness, raised its empty hands. Then it did something extraordinary. It reached up and released the seal on its helmet, lifting it away. The child princess saw a face for the first time. Pinkish beige skin, damp with sweat, eyes of a deep, steady brown that held none of the fear or awe she was accustomed to. The face was streaked with grime, and a fresh cut marred the brow. The human took a slow breath of the thin air, his expression one of assessment and concern. He was not there to conquer. He was there to help. He was a prospector, he gestured, a lone scout for a minerals survey team whose beacon he had seen. He shared his supplies, his water, rigged a distress signal from the wreckage, and stood guard through the long, dark cycle. He spoke little, his translated words simple and direct. When she shivered from cold and shock, he did not touch her, but placed his insulated blanket near her, a gesture of profound respect for her unknown customs. It was his scent she remembered most vividly. In the close confines of the makeshift shelter, with his helmet off, it had surrounded her. Ozone from his discharged weapon. Soil and stone from his explorations. The warm, clean scent of his skin, and that unique metallic warmth of human vitality. To her senses, it was not a biological signature. It was the smell of safety, of unoffered, unwavering protection. It was the aroma of the Guardian Dot. Their rescue came a cycle later. A Valyrian patrol located the beacon. As she was escorted to the gleaming ship, she turned back. The human stood by his patched-up scout vessel, helmet back on, a lone, blocky silhouette against the barren moon. He gave a single, short wave. Then he was gone. For 10 cycles, she had carried that scent memory, a sacred olfactory imprint she never expected to encounter again. The Guardian was a myth she held close, a secret touchstone of her belief in quiet nobility, and now that exact scent was here, in the most politically sensitive venue in the quadrant. Her senses, laser-focused, tracked it. She moved as if in a trance, excusing herself from the confused ambassador, gliding past her concerned handmaidens. The scent led her away from the glittering central dais, towards the service corridors behind the grand kitchens, the arteries that kept the heart of the diplomacy beating, there, near an open portal leading to a docking berth. She saw him. He was older, the lines on his face deeper, his brown hair touched with gray. He wore the simple, functional jumpsuit of a maintenance technician for the Universal Service Corps, a human-dominated organization known for brute force engineering and logistics. He was speaking with a Valyrian steward, pointing at a manifest on a data slate, his voice that same low, calm rumble her translator now perfectly understood. Atmospheric regulator for the Terran delegation suite. It's a different mixed density. I've installed the adjustment. Should be comfortable for them now. He turned, as if feeling the weight of her gaze. His eyes met hers. For a moment, there was only polite, professional recognition of her status, a slight, respectful nod from a worker to royalty. Then his gaze held. Something flickered in those brown eyes. A searching look. A question. He could not smell her as she smelled him. But perhaps he saw something in her eyes, in the way she stood, frozen and silent, her crust trembling not with fear, but with an overwhelming surge of memory. Perhaps he remembered a frightened child with silver skin and vibrant feathers, huddled in a blanket on a dead moon. The Valyrian steward, sensing the profound tension, bowed deeply to the princess and discreetly vanished. They were alone in the sterile, utilitarian corridor, the distant hum of the starship's engines a soft underscore. The princess found her voice, but it was barely a whisper, the formal Valyrian tones laced with a child's wonder. You. You're sent. It is you. The human technician stood very still. He slowly placed the data slate on a nearby conduit. His movements were careful, non-threatening, just as they had been long ago. He looked at her, truly looked, and then his expression softened with a dawning, incredible realization. The moon, he said, his voice quiet. The crash. The little one with the bright feathers. A sound escaped her, a sigh of profound relief. He remembered. She took a single step forward, then stopped, remembering protocol, the vast gulf of station and species between them. He did not bridge the gap. He simply stood, as he had stood then, a steady presence. You are well, he said, and it was not a question. It was a statement of deep satisfaction. I saw the news of the rescue. I never knew your name. I am glad to see you whole. I am because of you, she said, her voice gaining strength. Your scent. It is imprinted. The aroma of a guardian. I have carried it all these cycles. A faint, humble smile touched his lips. I just did what anyone would have done. No, she said, with the certainty of her position and her memory. Not anyone. You offered aid without demand, protection without expectation. You asked for nothing, not even a name. He shrugged, a very human gesture. Didn't seem the time for introductions. And you were scared. My job was to fix the situation. He gestured vaguely to the regulator on the wall. Still is, in a way. She looked at his jumpsuit, at his honest, weathered face, then back towards the opulent hall where beings schemed and bargained with sense of deception and desire. Here, in this plain corridor, was the purest scent she had ever known. The galaxy speaks of humanity's strength, its noise, its ambition, she murmured. They do not speak of its quiet men. They do not know the scent of your kindness. Kindness doesn't need a spotlight, he replied. It just needs to be. A chime sounded from his wrist comb. His shift was ending. He picked up his data slate. The moment, the miraculous intersection of past and present, was slipping back into the flow of ordinary time. He bowed his head again. Princes, it was an honor to see you again. Truly. He began to turn, to walk back down the corridor to his world of engines and atmospheric mixes. Wait, she said. He stopped. She had no token, no jewel that could suffice. Instead, she did a thing of profound Valyrian significance. She inhaled deeply, slowly, committing his scent to memory once more, not as a relic of the past, but as a living, present truth. Then she gave him the gift of a true name, not her title, but the one her heart had forged long ago. Thank you, she said, the words imbued with every ounce of her being. Guardian. He understood. It was in the way she said it. He nodded, once, a lifetime of understanding passing between them in that single, simple motion. Be well, he said, and he walked away, his aroma of ozone, soil, warm stone.